What's up, y'all? It's Coach Steph. I am going live today. We're talking about metabolism, why your low calorie diet has stopped working. I'm going to be interviewing Coach Kayla, and I'm just letting her know that I'm live. So if you watch the replay, hashtag replay, hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And I want to know your questions. So if you don't know me, I'm Coach Steph. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and mindset transformation coach. And I help perfectionists to beat self-sabotage, lose the weight for good. And really, the goal is really to be your highest and your best self, right? And so we focus on a transformation from the inside out. And that is what this page is all about. So if you're new to the group, welcome. And if you are looking for a coach, one-on-one coaching is open. Group coaching is starting in January, and I'm already taking enrollment for January. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Again, what we're going to be talking about today is, yes, I got my computer set up here, and I see people are looking for the live. I'm live. I hope you found it. What's up? If you're on, Natasha's watching. Hey, Natasha. Hey, Tina. I'll just let her know, yes, I'm live. Let's see, Kayla, I'm live. Go to the event. So I am going live with Kayla to talk about why your low calorie diet might have stopped working, why you shouldn't be in a calorie deficit for like months and months and years. And oh, I see your request, Kayla. And what dieting phases you should be toggling through. So we shouldn't just be living in a diet, right? So nobody necessarily likes to diet. The goal really is to eat as much food as possible without gaining weight. We want to be able to eat and not have to like eat less and less and less in order to maintain our weight. So we're going to be talking about dieting phases. And the coach that I'm going to be bringing on is Coach Kayla, and she helps women eat as much as possible and get the toned body of their dreams. Hey, Stephanie. What's up, Coach Steph? There's another Coach Steph in here. Let me bring on Kayla and have her introduce herself. I clicked add. Hopefully this works. Let's see. I know there were some questions in the group too. Hello.
Hello.
What's up? We did it. It always feels like a victory when you get on here and it works.
I know.
You're like, yeah. So, welcome to the group, and kind
Thank
of
you.
introduce yourself to the ladies. I know that several of them. One of them was like, "Hey," like messaging me, like, "Hey, is there a live at 1?" So people are definitely going to be watching, and a lot of the ladies do watch the replay. So, kind of
Mhm.
introduce yourself and tell who you are, who you serve, and what you do.
Yeah, well, I am Coach Kayla. I am a NASM certified nutrition coach, personal trainer, weight loss specialist, and I am the head coach and CEO over at the Full and Fit program, where I help yo-yo dieters who have been just feel like they're dieting their whole life, going from hopping from diet to diet to diet. I help them repair their metabolism and optimize it so that they can actually lose weight and sustain it long term, instead of just seeing these results from quick fixes that are just absolutely fleeting once they start eating like a normal person again. So we definitely utilize dieting phases in my program, and I'm super excited to talk about this with you, because this is something that I can just go on and on about.
Yeah. So tell me more about like where you learned about the dieting phases and like how your journey was in terms of like gaining this knowledge.
Yeah, so it all started back in college. I grew up as a dancer, and so doing like 20 hours of cardio a week, I can basically eat whatever the heck I wanted to. Um, And then in college, when I wasn't doing that anymore, I was still eating like I was, and I actually gained 40 pounds my freshman year of college. And I'm only 5 foot, so 40 pounds is a lot on my tiny little frame. Um, so I tried everything that I possibly could in order to lose that weight, and I saw like quick results. I saw like a 10-pound weight loss, and then it just completely plateaued. It completely stopped. And, I was cutting my calories even further, only eating like 800 to 1200 calories a day, and nothing was working. um, and so this is when I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, is my body shutting down? Like, what's happening here? Because I should be able to lose weight. And that's when I really started learning about dieting phases, and just from other coaches online. And then I also got my nutrition certification from NASM, and they didn't go too depth into that, but from my own experience and implementing these dieting phases and working with my clients, and being coached by other coaches, I definitely learned like all the ins and outs of dieting phases, and they're all backed by science, and it works. I mean, there's really not much else to say other than that, just learning from experience and working with other coaches and my clients.
Cool. Okay, cool. See, that was my
Yeah.
own personal question that I was just curious about. So I know we had some questions. I keep looking over here because I have my laptop here.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess before we jump into those questions, let's kind of look at like what are dieting phases and why is it important? Why should you know anything about dieting phases?
Yeah, so dieting phases, you've probably heard of a deficit before. Or, all the people watching probably heard of a deficit before, which is when you're actively losing weight, right? But we can't be in a deficit forever because of this crazy thing called metabolic adaptation. It's where your metabolism slows down to kind of meet you where you're at. So that's when you see all those plateaus and you're like, this was working two weeks ago or 2 months ago. I don't know why it's not working now. And it's because your metabolism has adapted to the calories that you're eating. So in order to keep that from happening, we have to go through these phases, which are one, um, a deficit, and then we have maintenance, which is where you're not actively gaining or losing any weight. You have surplus, which is eating a little bit higher than what you're burning each day so that you can gain mass or put on muscle. And then we also have reverse, which is what you need to do in between your deficit and your maintenance. So those are the four dieting phases. Typically, you don't need to do a surplus unless you are trying to just put on a ton of muscle. So I typically stick with deficit, reverse, and maintenance. So I mean, the big thing is that we can't stay in a deficit forever because it's not healthy for us, it's not healthy for our bodies, and we're ultimately going to reach that plateau. So to keep that from happening, we have to go through these phases every couple of months.
So number one, in the chat, if you have ever hit a plateau and felt like, okay, I'm doing this one regimen, whether it's with your nutrition or your fitness, and then all of a sudden it seemed to stop working, let me know in the chat. Number two, um, let me know if you feel like you're stuck or like you what used to work. Maybe you've done a certain diet in the past and like it always worked. That was the thing. And then all of a sudden, like it doesn't work anymore. Let me know in the chat if you've ever experienced any of those things. Um, so what I heard you say was there's four dieting phases. And so I want you guys listening to understand that like with each one of those, there's a calorie level. So your caloric deficit, there's a certain amount of calories. With your maintenance, there's a certain amount of calories. With your surplus, there's a certain amount of calories. And then reversing is just kind of getting to your maintenance or like adjusting your calories in order to slowly increase your calories typically. Um, Tell me why you mentioned that like you can like once your diet stops working and you said that we should not be in a calorie deficit for like months and months, years and years. Can you explain like why, like what's happening to your body of like why it's not working anymore?
Yeah, so when your metabolism slows down to meet you kind of where you're at, that metabolic adaptation, then everything starts to slow down. So your metabolism is made up of your basal metabolic rate, which doesn't really change a whole lot, but it's also made up of the thermic effect of food and your exercise activity, your non-exercise activity. So when you are plateauing, even if you're eating the same that you were eating 2 months ago and it was working for you then, all of those things are slowing down. So you're eating less, so your thermic effect of food is going to slow down. You might not have as much energy in the gym to really have, a super successful workout. You might not be burning as many calories in the gym, and subconsciously you're going to be blinking less. You're going to be moving slower. All of those things are what happens when our metabolism adapts. And not only should we, be aware of that, but also being in a deficit forever, especially if you're eating under, if you're eating around like 1200 calories, 1300 calories, that's just not healthy for you in general, because it's going to wreak havoc on your hormones. You might have hair, skin, and nail issues. You might gain weight a little bit. And all of these things can happen that are just really not healthy for our bodies at all. Like you can have low libido, all of this other stuff that goes on when you're just not eating enough. So I would say the maximum, absolute max amount of time that you want to stay in a deficit is 6 months. So no longer than that.
Okay, so I need y'all to hear this. Okay. So if you are dieting, right, and you're trying to eat less calories, number one, making sure you're not going too low. But according to Coach Kayla, 6 months is the max. So you should not be in a calorie deficit. So what that is just like firing off multiple questions, but I've got some stuff here. Coach Stephanie says, woo, not low libido.
Yep, low libido.
Um, so she says, the day after not eating, my target workouts are trash. Um, my workouts are trash. Tawana says she's stuck now, but she's maintaining. Faye says she feels stuck. Um, so in terms of, so just to recap what you said earlier about, when you're in a low calorie diet, it is changing your hormones because our body really wants homeostasis. Our body
Yep.
wants us to keep us like the same.
Yep.
So I was thinking about this the other day because I'm in macro mentorship and I'm learning more about metabolic adaptations. I'm very, very intrigued by this. And so I think in pictures. So just go with me here, okay?
Okay.
So what I like how I describe it is like, so your body only has so much that it can do with the calories that you give it, right? So let's say I have this pitcher of water here, right? The water inside, ladies, is your energy or your calories, right? Because calorie is just a measurement of energy. That's how much energy so if you're giving your body only 1200 calories worth of energy, it can only do 1200 calories worth of work.
Exactly.
Right? So let's pretend, right? I have like 10 cups here lined up, right? So I'm going to take my energy. This is my calories that I'm eating, and I'm pouring into the most important functions of your body. So your body is going to prioritize your brain function, your neurological function, your muscles, right? It's going to prioritize those things first. So I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to, okay, here's brain function, muscle function, neurological function, my organs, right? I got to make sure those are good. Now, those last few cups might be fat breakdown, lipolysis. And if my cup is empty, I don't have any more energy for that. I don't have the energy literally because it takes energy, calories to break down the fat, the adipose tissue on your body, and you need more fuel. Y'all, let me know if that makes sense.
That made total sense to me. That is such a good analogy. I'm with you feeling that.
I got that, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Because the coach that I was watching, her name was Eve. She was like, "If you're eating 1200 calorie diet, right, for a long period of time, you're literally training your metabolism to have a 1200 calorie metabolism."
Yep, absolutely. That's exactly right.
That
And
was
it'll work
mind
at first.
blown.
It'll
Yeah,
work at first because your body's not used to that yet. But as soon
right.
as your body gets used to it, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to slow down. Everything is going to slow down, and you're only going to be, you know, doing 1200 calories worth of work every day. That's all your body
Right.
can do.
Right.
Hmm.
That when I got that, I was like, oh my God. So the thing is, you gotta eat.
Yep. And that's where the reverse comes in.
Right. So
Yep.
explain what reverse dieting means.
Yeah. So just like your metabolism can slow down and adapt to a deficit, it can also adapt to when you give it higher calories. So with a reverse diet, we are basically using metabolic adaptation for all the good things that it can do. So we're increasing food very slowly and very strategically. You can't just, you know, eat all the things and expect your body to adapt. But we're doing it very slowly and very strategically so that your metabolism is slowly going back up and back up and back up, because most women should be able to maintain their weight at about 23 to 2700 calories, which is a crazy high amount, probably way more than a lot of people are eating right now. So like I said, I'm only 5 foot tall, but after doing a reverse diet, I can maintain around 2,500 calories a day because I used metabolic adaptation to my advantage during a reverse diet. So it's just increasing your carbs, your fats, and your protein little by little, every week or every other week so that you can then maintain at a higher number of calories. So then on the flip side, when you go back into a deficit, you don't have to go back down to 1,200 calories. You can lose weight at like 18 or 2,000 calories, which is way more than you probably have ever lost weight with in your entire life.
Yeah. And so I have definitely been trying this with clients
Mm-hmm.
and increasing their calories. So ladies that are watching, it's a lot, right? For
Yeah.
us to tell you specifically exactly what to do for you. That's why coaching is really important. That's why you
Mm-hmm.
hire someone to look over your stuff and calculate all of your things so that you can have a strategy. But I have done this with clients, and I had a client, she's 6'2", so she's pretty, tall. And she was like, yeah, I need to eat around like 18 or 19. That's when I start losing weight. And I was like, okay, well, I'm calculating you need way more than that. But she was only eating around 2K. So I was like, okay, let's just start
Mm-hmm.
around 2,100. I'm going to just like start you just a little bit higher. And then like gradually we've been eating a little bit more. And I do want to stress like, you it the reason why the reverse is important is so that, like you said, to start increasing your metabolism, to get your metabolism used to having that energy in here so that it can do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But then, right, we need to go back into a deficit, correct? Like once you're
Yeah.
getting up. So kind of explain that,
Yeah.
like toggling
So
between those phases.
after you've gone through a reverse diet, it's important once you hit a calorie level where you're maintaining, you're not gaining any weight, and you're happy at that level. It kind of takes some playing around with getting there, because it's kind of like a guessing game. It's different for everybody, and that's why it's so important to have a coach, like you said, so that they can work with you on this. But once you get to your maintenance calories, which should be around 23 to 2700, you have to stay there at maintenance for at least 3 months, because like you said, your body really craves homeostasis. And so to basically allow your body to trust you again and to allow your body to say like, okay, she's not going to just not feed me tomorrow, we have to stay there for about 3 months so that your body can create that homeostasis. So after that 3 month maintenance phase, you can then go into a deficit. And so if you're able to maintain your weight at about 2,500 calories, you can lose weight then at 2,200 calories to start off with, because your body has increased your metabolism and has so much energy available that you're able to lose weight still eating more than you probably ever have before.
Mhm. So
Did that
when
answer
you're
your
go,
question?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no, I always just like to kind of recap just because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think about things in a certain way. So
Mm-hmm.
you maybe you come, and I have had so many ladies who are just under eating.
Mm-hmm.
They're under eating because they're trying to diet. So I'm like, okay,
Yep.
actually, we need to increase your calories. So as you go through a reverse, you're increasing your calories and staying at maintenance for 3 months, ladies. This means that
Mm-hmm.
for those 3 months, you're focusing on getting stronger. You're focusing on, working on your mindset. You're not necessarily going to lose weight in that phase. Like some people do.
Yeah.
The client that I mentioned before, we've been reversing. She's been eating more. she's dropping inches and she's losing weight, but that doesn't always happen. The point of a reverse is not to lose weight, it's actually to help your metabolism to rise, get it there for 3 or 4 months. So then you can go back into that deficit, but the deficit is not way down here now because your metabolism is higher.
Yep.
Now you don't have to eat so little. So this
Yep.
is why patience is so important. The quick
Yep.
weight loss, the things that y'all have been doing, the keto, the paleo, all these things that get you the quick weight loss, you can't maintain it. It drops your metabolism. So then when you try to do this again, you got to go down even lower and it's unsustainable. And that's how you get stuck.
Yep. That's exactly how you get stuck. I couldn't have said it any better than that,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
So when you're at maintenance, you're at that 3 to 4 months of maintenance, then you come back down into a deficit. How do you know, number one, that you're ready for the deficit?
Mhm.
And then how do you know how many calories you need at that time?
So there is no like, hey, you're ready for a deficit, other than you've been at maintenance for a while. You know,
Okay.
if some people may need longer than others. If you have been in a deficit, if you have been under eating for years, you might need to stay at maintenance for longer than 3 months. It really just depends on your body and how you're feeling. If you are feeling like you are not 100%, and if you are feeling like, you know, if you're still a little tired, if you're still a little groggy, if you have a lot of stress, you're not ready for a deficit. Because, this is going into a whole other topic, but, your body reacts to mental and physical stress the same way. So it doesn't know the difference. If you have a lot of mental stress going on, it's not good to put your body under even more stress with a deficit. So first off, waiting for the at least 3 months in your maintenance, but also waiting for a time in your life where you aren't super high stress, you don't have a lot of things going on, then that would say that you're ready for a deficit. And so ideally you can drop down like maybe 200 to 300 calories at first, see how that works, and keep milking that, keep losing weight at that level before you drop it down again. Because now that your calories are so much higher after doing the reverse diet, you have more wiggle room with your deficit, right? So we can start off slowly, and as your metabolism adapts, we can drop down a little bit lower, and then a little bit lower, and a little bit lower, so that you're not, just cutting down all the calories back to 1500. That's still way too low. But as long, so that you don't have to cut all those calories down right away, and then your metabolism adapts quickly, you can do it slowly so that you're still able to eat more throughout your entire deficit. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay.
y'all, does that make sense? Y'all let me know.
Listen, sometimes I
Um,
just start rambling because I get real excited about this, so I
no,
don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to me.
yeah, y'all let us know if it's making sense to you, if you have any questions. And I'm looking at the chat, so there's some questions popping up, but I did want to say this. So what you said was mental stress and physical stress. Your body has physiological and metabolical, like, um, what am I trying to say? Consequences, or like they're like hormones
Responses.
responses, yes, to stress. So when you're in a deficit, that is a stressful state for your
Mhm.
body. I need you to hear that.
Yeah.
That's a stressful state for your body because you're not giving your body the calories that it needs. And it's like, ooh, where am I going to get these calories from?
Mhm.
Right. And ideally, we want it to take it from our fat stores, but again, if you're not giving it enough of the energy, it doesn't have the energy to actually break down those stores. So, first thing I wanted to say, just to kind of reiterate what you said about that being a stressful state. And then, can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about biofeedback? Because we haven't used that word, but when we're talking about tracking or like knowing what's happening with your body, or um, how to know when you're in a deficit or if you are gaining weight, like what is that biofeedback? What do you need to be tracking and how often do you need to be tracking that so you can kind of know where you're at?
Yeah, so as far as biofeedback, like when you are at maintenance. If you're losing weight and you think you're at maintenance, you're not at maintenance. You need to increase your calories, right? So that's a form of biofeedback, is your weight, but also, you know, your circumference measurements, right? Your sleep, your your digestive system. Are you regular? Right? That's a form of biofeedback too. If you're not regular, then there may be something off with, you know, with your digestive system. And, you know, a lot of people who aren't regular are probably under eating as well. So, you know, taking all of those things into consideration will help you figure out, you know, if you're in the right spot for the phase that you're in. And then also, like, when you're in a deficit, if your sleep starts getting really bad, your metabolism is probably adapting, right? If you're not regular, your metabolism might be adapting. If you no longer have a menstrual cycle and you're not going through menopause or perimenopause or anything, you know, that is a sign of biofeedback that you're not eating enough. So all of those things are things that I use with my clients, but, you know, all of this stuff is important for you guys to do, even if you know, you're not having a coach. Take a listen to your body and recognize that, and, you know, take your circumference measurements weekly, take progress photos weekly. Because even in a maintenance phase, you might see some changes in those circumference measurements, but not changes on the scale, right? So that is a good sign that your metabolism is in the right spot to maintain your weight, and you're just going through body recomposition. So if you're seeing changes that way, but the scale's not moving, that's a good sign. Did all that make sense? Did I cover that
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, no, you did. Do you have your clients weigh daily and like do the average?
Some of my clients I do. Some of my clients prefer not to weigh daily, and so we might do every other day. We might just do weekly for some clients. Some clients want to focus more on their progress photos and their measurements, and I'm perfectly okay with taking the scale out of the equation, unless they're in a reverse. If they're in a reverse, then we have to bring the scale back into it, because we need to know if we are gaining weight or not. And circumference measurements and progress pictures do help with that, but it is a little bit more accurate if I take the weekly average of their weight when they're in a reverse, because it tells me if they're, you know, getting a little too far into a surplus.
And whenever you're doing that, how many times, like, because you know the weight, I mean, the scale is going to go up and down. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you gained fat or lost fat. How many like scale measurements do you need in order to say, like, yes, this is true weight loss, or no, this is true weight gain? Like how many weeks, or
Um, that's a good question. I mean, when we're in a deficit, I typically don't look at the scale a whole lot. When we're in a reverse or maintenance, I'll look at the scale, and if they're logging at least 3 times a week, and they're consistently increasing each week, then I'll say, okay, this is a little bit. So if they're increasing like for 3 weeks, then I'll probably be like, all right, let's chill out here. Let's drop you back down maybe 100 calories, because that's probably your true maintenance if you're only gaining like, you know, a quarter of a pound a week. So it's not a whole big difference. You know, if you're taking your weekly average, you can definitely see how your body is adapting to those calories a lot easier than if you're not. So that's why I say to do it in a reverse and a maintenance too. And then when we're in a deficit, I just focus on progress pictures and measurements, because ultimately, like, the scale is the scale, and it's only one data point. So I prefer not to have my clients weigh as much when they're in a deficit, because you can have days where you had a lot of sodium and then the scale jumps up 5 pounds and you're like, what the heck? I gained 5 pounds overnight. No, that's not true. So just for the mental aspect of a deficit, I kind of take the scale away just a little bit.
yeah, yeah. So listen to your body, ladies. Absolutely. I have my clients do the same. Most of them weigh just twice a week, and then I have them do like progress photos and measurements. But you need to be taking those on a regular basis, ladies, because
Yes.
a lot of times, like especially if you're first beginning, you're like, oh, I don't want to take the photos. I require at least 2 ways to measure your progress. I recommend that they do all the ways that I give them, but even if they don't want to show me the progress photos, I'm like, still take the progress photos because it definitely makes a difference because the scale will do what it does.
Yeah, the
So
scale's
listening
the
to that,
scale.
yeah, it's and
I
it
hate
throws
it.
you for a loop. It throws you for a loop. So
Yep.
listening to your body, and then I think that was one thing I was going to say, but now I forgot. So let me get to the questions. So Tawana says, OMG, I'm not regular and I don't sleep enough. That explains a lot. Oh my God, sleep is so important.
It really is. At
I always
least like 7 hours a night, please, everybody, please.
seven, yeah, at least seven, Tawana. So when you're thinking about sleep, thinking about like your night routine and literally calculate what time do I have to go to bed in order to, if I have to wake up at 5, what time do I need to go to bed in order to get at least 7 hours of sleep? But your body repairs at night. If you're trying to build muscle, um, it does that at night when you're sleeping. So if you're cutting that off, you're literally cutting off your recovery time. So that's really important. And I find, yeah, a lot of people get like 5 or 6 hours, or maybe
Mm.
less sometimes. Faith says, I'm going to have to watch this after I leave the office. I need to take notes. Yes, ma'am. I am hypothyroid patient and can't afford to have a slow metabolism. Yeah. So what are the ways to increase your metabolism, Kayla?
Just reverse diet. Reverse diet is going to be the best way to increase your metabolism. I mean, it's fairly easy when you have a coach to help you through it. They're going to give you the exact targets to hit, so that you can increase your metabolism and be able to cut or go through a deficit at higher calories.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Um,
that's the best way, but also, getting more sleep is going to help your metabolism, and eating when you wake up is going to help your metabolism instead of waiting until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I know so many women who are waking up and going 6 hours without eating. And I just, please eat when you wake up.
yeah. So I want to know what is your take on intermittent fasting? Because that's a big thing.
I
Not
don't
a
like it.
fan.
Not a
I'm
fan.
not either.
Not a fan. Because
We're-
ultimately it's just cutting the amount of hours that you're eating so that you eat less in a day. It's basically just putting you in a deficit. And if you're already not eating enough, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that. They like will go vegan or they will, be a vegetarian or do
Mm-hmm.
all of these things just so it's not about lifestyle, it's not about enjoyment, it's not about satisfaction. It's just so because they think they're eating too much, so
Yep.
they keep eating less and less and less. And so sometimes that's actually the wrong direction.
Yes. Most of the time. Most of the time.
Yeah.
And listen to me, ladies, please. If your diet has a name, don't do it. If it has a name like keto, intermittent fasting, Noom, Optavia, Optavia, however you say it, if it has a name, it's probably not going to give you sustainable results.
And sustainable is what we want, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I will also add to the metabolism question of like lifting heavier weights. Y'all know how I am
Yes,
about like
yes.
lifting more. Like we got to put down the 5 pound weights. If you have to start with 5 pounds, totally fine, no problem. Five, between 4 to 6 weeks in, I need you to challenge yourself. And I know I did a
Mm-hmm.
workshop and I totally forgot to record it, but I am planning on redoing this for y'all. So a lot of my clients will be like, well, I can't lift heavier. I can't get through all of my sets. That's okay. Like at 4 to 6 weeks, if you know that like, hey, I've been doing the same weight, go ahead and start your first set with the heavier weights. And you may not be
Mm-hmm.
able to get through all 3 sets or all 4 sets. So you can go down in the middle of your sets, but start challenging your body. The whole purpose of lifting is really pushing your body close to failure so
Mm-hmm.
that you're challenging your body enough so you can start building that muscle. But that muscle won't be built unless you're eating enough in the first place. That's why y'all are
Exactly.
like, constantly
Exactly. You cannot
working out
build
all the time.
muscle if
Yeah.
you're in a deficit. If you're super new to fitness and this is your first time ever lifting weights, you can build a little bit of muscle because you got those newbie gains, but
Yeah.
you cannot build muscle when you're in a deficit. And just like your body, your metabolism adapts to the food that you're giving it. If you're not increasing your intensity of your workouts or the weight that you're using or the number of reps that you're doing, if you're not doing progressive overload with your workouts, your body adapts to that same way. And it's no longer going to give you the positive adaptations that you want if you're not challenging yourself with your workouts. So as soon as something starts to feel easy, as soon as you can start doing all the reps and sets with those little 5-pound weights, let's bring it up, girl.
Yeah. And I tell my clients, like, I give them workouts, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm just doing 25 of everything. I'm like, if you can do 25 of everything, that means that you are doing too light. I put 8 to 12 on purpose. So,
Yep.
all right. So Robin had a question. She
Mhm.
says, how do you gauge a metabolism to make sure you are, to make sure you're not ruining it? I think she meant.
Yeah, so those things that we talked about earlier, where, if your sleep is getting bad, if you're starting to have low libido, if you feel like your hormones are all out of whack, um, if you have poor skin, hair, skin, and nails, if you just feel like super fatigued all the time, you're probably not eating enough.
What I heard too is just being in tune with your body. Like you have
Yeah,
to know
really.
like what's going on with your skin. You got to be looking at yourself. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
in tune with how you feel, your energy, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
She says, if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, how do you manage it without being in a calorie deficit for a long time? Very good question.
So it the downfall of going through proper dieting phases is that it does take longer. Right? It does take longer because you're not ruining your metabolism in the process, and because you're taking care of your body and doing it in a healthy way instead of just being in a deficit for 2 years. If you have significant weight to lose, you need to go through the dieting phases multiple times, and that's okay. Right? That's what we should be doing if we have a significant amount of weight to lose. So I don't have my calculator in front of me, but healthy weight loss is about like 1 to 2 pounds a week, right? And if we're going to stay at a deficit for 6 months, that's how many pounds, how many weeks, how many pounds could you expect to lose if you're losing like 2 pounds a week?
I'm horrible at math, so please,
I,
are you asking me?
yes.
Because I
I
have
don't
no
have my
idea.
calculator. Hold on.
There's 4 weeks in every month, roughly. So that's 30 weeks. Is that 30 weeks? Hell, I don't know. Don't
24 weeks.
24.
24
I'm bad.
weeks.
Listen, I do not do math. Math is horrible for me. So 24
Yeah.
weeks.
So 24 weeks, if you're losing 2 pounds a week, which is, about the maximum of what we're going to be losing for healthy weight loss, that doesn't include muscle mass loss with it, it's about 48 pounds in 6 months, right? If you have more than 48 pounds to lose, then you're likely going to have to go through another reverse, stay at maintenance again for 3 months, and then go into another deficit. So going through those cycles is going to help your body not have a slow metabolism in the future. Make sure that you're sustaining those results that you're having instead of working so hard to lose 100 pounds in a year and doing it super fast. And then you're eating super low. And then as soon as you start eating like a normal person again, it all comes back. Right.
Yeah.
So I often like to say that the long way is often the shortcut. Right. Because if we're trying quick fix after quick fix after quick fix and seeing 10-pound loss here, but then you gain 12 pounds afterwards, and then 6-pound loss here, and then you gain 8 pounds afterwards. It's going to take so much longer doing it those ways. You're not going to see the results that you want, where you could have just spent the time doing the proper dieting phases and seeing those results and having them last a lifetime. So
Yeah.
the long way, it seems like the long way, but it's often the shortcut.
It actually is. Because if you think about diets that you guys have done and you lost the weight, and you, if you, especially if you did it really fast, you probably lost muscle too, which
Mm-hmm.
means that you slowed down your metabolism. Every
Yep.
single time you do that, you're slowing your metabolism. So that's
Yep.
why every time you try to diet again, it gets harder and harder because now your basal metabolic rate is actually lower. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep on eating less and less, and it's like a race to the bottom, and then you hit a wall, and there's
Yep.
nothing that you can do other than reverse,
Yep.
stay at maintenance.
Yep.
So if we think about like a lot of my clients who are coming in, they're not eating enough. We have to reverse them for several weeks, depending on where they're at.
I say
Um,
it typically takes about 3 to 4 months for a reverse, unless they're already
four
eating
months. Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is to depends on too like how far under they're eating. So like
Mhm.
it's a
It,
program can be usually 3 to 4 months, y'all. So that means
mhm.
that in that 3 or 4 months, you may just be working on eating more.
Yep.
Then you gotta stay at maintenance for 3 to 4 months, and
Yep.
then you come back down into a deficit for no longer than you said 6 months.
Yeah.
And then you gotta go back, reverse back up to maintenance. And so I mean, when I say patience, y'all, I mean patience, like
Yeah.
lifestyle, like find something else to think about while you're
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is so hard to come to terms with is that, like, we all want to see results when we want them, right? We all want to see these results so quickly, but we have to come to terms with the fact that, like, if we're under eating, we have to go through at minimum 6 months of work before we can try and lose weight again. We have to, or else it's not going to work for you long term. It's not going to be sustainable, and it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
if you want to do this the right way and finally see those results that you've been longing for so long, that all these other little quick fix diets didn't help you achieve, you have to put in this at minimum 6 months of work before you start trying to see those results. So it is hard to accept that for a lot of us. Um, even for me, even for me, I work with a nutrition coach right now, and I'm in another reverse again, and it's hard sometimes. It really do be hard because I'm like, dang it, like I just want to go into a deficit again, but I know that, like, I can't. It's just not the right way to do it, and it's not going to serve my body well to do that right now.
Um, and I had a question for you. Are you going into competition? Are you like gonna be like a competitor?
Maybe someday.
Maybe, maybe.
Maybe in the next, like, year or two, we might do a bikini competition. Who
That's
knows?
cool. I love
Yeah.
it. So Denise said, and that wasn't my question, by the way, I kind of lost it, but Denise said, so I struggle with eating. I finished 4 scrambled eggs and mushrooms mixed in. Why do I still be hungry? I I
Because that ain't
faithfully
enough.
work out. I faithfully work out Monday, Wednesday, 6 a.m., 1:30 was my first meal. Should I be adding more or am I a pig at 63 years old?
Okay, she said this was her first meal today. Girl,
1:30 was my first meal. Yeah, he's got to eat.
you gotta eat more. It's past lunchtime, and this is your first meal. You gotta be eating more. That's why you're still hungry.
Yeah. Eating earlier, like it's super duper, it's like way more simple. Like if you get up and you start
Mhm.
eating earlier in the day, you will find that you're actually more hungry and it's easier to eat
Yes.
more if you're trying to like eat more calories.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially going through a reverse, like, you'll know when your body is ready to increase your calories again too, because you'll start to feel even more hungry between your meals, even hungrier. Um, but eating like 30 minutes after you wake up is ideal, because your body is just going to be like, all right, let's go, she's giving us food, let's start using this.
So Tawana says I eat between 1,400 and 1,500 calories a day. Maybe I need to start losing again. It just depends. Like we have to know way more more info, but
Yeah, I
I'm
would
sure
want to, if you're only eating that many calories a day, I would definitely reverse, because that's
you can
still,
eat more calories, Tawana.
you can eat like 1,000 calories more than that and maintain your weight. It's fine eating that many calories. You have so much room for all the fun things in life.
Yeah. Any other questions, y'all? I'm just trying to look through here. Great discussion though. Let me look through my notes and see if I have any other see, I can't even read my handwriting. And I had another question for you and I can't even read my handwriting. So just kind of like as a recap, um, in terms of dieting phases, What would you just kind of leave us with as far as dieting phases and metabolism?
Yeah, so your metabolism is really cool and it adapts to what we give it. If you are not eating enough right now, you're trying to lose weight, it's not working, you likely need to go through a reverse. Okay? So those 4 dieting phases, we're primarily going to focus on 3. So reverse, maintenance, deficit, right? So each of them, 3 months for the reverse, 3 months for maintenance, maximum of 6 months for a deficit. That's a year, right? It takes roughly a year to go through each one. So if you know that you need to go through a reverse, if you're eating, let's say if you're eating less than 2,000 calories a day, you need to go through a reverse. Okay. So going through that reverse is going to take 3 months. Then staying at maintenance is going to take 3 months. Then the deficit is going to take 6 months. It can be a whole year before you see the results that you want to see, which is hard to grasp, hard to handle, and it's hard to accept sometimes. But the long way is often the shortcut, because this is going to give you results that you can have for the rest of your life. And it's going to allow you to have that sustainability, to be able to, look at a brownie and say, we don't want to look at a brownie and say, oh, I gained 5 pounds just looking at that, right? We're able to maintain our weight while eating all the fun things, having an enjoyable meals with families on holidays, and not worry about our weight if we are going through these proper dieting phases.
Awesome. Y'all, did y'all hear that? A year? Did y'all hear that? I need y'all to let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, let us sink in, because it's hard. It is hard, but this is the only way to do it.
So during that time, which is why mindset is so important,
Mm-hmm.
managing your mindset, finding multiple ways to find a win,
Mm-hmm.
finding enjoyment, adventure, spontaneity outside of your plate, and like loving life and not
Yep.
making food the only thing you run to for comfort, and understanding that like actually since you can eat more food, you can have a little bit more of that. I think it's just like the mind management of, oh, I ate something bad, so now it's, I messed everything up, so let me skip my meals for the next day. Like it just managing your mind. Your
Yep.
mind is the thing that is
Mm-hmm.
keeping you from sticking to it, from not being patient enough to get to your
Mm-hmm.
results. And then, of course, having like an actual strategy to get there with a coach that knows how to help you through that process. So let
Mm-hmm.
them know, Kayla, how to follow you on Instagram, or any, I think, did you have a freebie? I'm not sure if you had a freebie, but you can definitely follow Kayla on Instagram.
Um, yeah, so I have, my Instagram is kaylamarie.fit. And then in I have my Facebook group too. But I have a freebie that I can give you guys. If you guys comment protein on this live video here, then I'll send you my link to my protein guide so that you guys can start at least getting more protein in, because probably, not getting enough of that right now either.
Yes, that's another thing too. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of my clients are not getting enough protein. So if y'all want her
Most women
protein
aren't.
guide, yes,
Yeah,
most
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 women
are
aren't.
not. Um, Comment protein. I dropped her link for IG, and she says she also has a Facebook group. I'll try to find out while we're on. Hey Paula.
Yeah, my
Um,
Facebook group is Full and Fit, Eat More, Lose Fat, if you guys just want to search it.
okay. Any other questions, y'all, before we hop off? It's been a pleasure, Kayla. I
Yeah, we got one question. Do you see it
oh,
from Melly?
um, what if you have gone through? Ooh, I lost it. Hold on.
What if you have gone through the process, losing weight in a deficit? How do you increase calories and keep the weight off? The reverse phase. So that would help you increase your calories slowly without putting on any weight, so that you are able to maintain at higher calories. So that's what we would call, if you're not going to go through another deficit, if you're just going to do the reverse, that's what we would call like your exit strategy. So And that's your exit strategy for the deficit, because like I said, we can't be eating in a deficit forever. And if we want to maintain our results while eating more, we can't just jump back up to maintenance, because then we're going to gain the weight back, right? We have to go through a reverse again so that we can reach maintenance again without, you know, gaining any weight and being able to keep the weight loss off.
Yeah, I dropped the Facebook group, y'all, and the IG page. So she'll follow up with you if you want the protein guide. I want the protein guide too.
Okay, I'll send it. I'll
So
just
yeah.
I'll just put the link in the comments
Okay.
on here if I can
Okay.
find it on my laptop.
Okay. Yeah, you can
Can
do
you
it.
tag me in the comments?
I will. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I thank you so much for coming on.
Of
This was a
course.
great discussion. I think so many women need to understand like why they might be stuck, why you might have hit a plateau, why your low calorie diet is no longer working. Just continue to think about that illustration about the water in the cups, like your body is just not getting enough energy. We talked about biofeedback and how you should be tracking, what you should be tracking, listening to your body and having that patience and really working on your mindset so that you're not trying to hurry up and get to the quick weight loss. You can actually manage your mindset and understand like this is a process and it's more than just like what the scale says. And
Mhm.
loving your body right now without a pound lost. Loving your body to your goal and not just trying to get to a goal because you hate your body, right? That's
Yeah.
that's unhealthy and
If
not
you don't
sustainable
love
either.
your body through the whole process, you're not going to love your body when you hit that weight loss goal.
Right.
Hmm.
Like you think you're gonna love it, but your brain, if your brain hasn't changed, you're gonna be thinking the same thoughts you've always thought. So y'all,
Hmm.
thank you so much for watching. Y'all asked great questions. Thanks, Kayla, for being here. And
Yeah, of course.
all right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye. Um, all right. Am I still live? Oh, okay. So, y'all, one more announcement. I have another interview. I think it's next week with a lady named Julie, coach named Julie, talking about menopause. So if you have been asking about menopause and menopause belly, she's going to be talking all things how to get um, fit and fine after 40. So make sure that you join that for next week. Um, and I think that's my live for next week. My live for next week is interviewing Julie. Again, if you guys are interested in one-on-one coaching or group coaching, definitely message me and or you can also message Kayla. Kayla's open for coaching too, which I don't think she said. But Kayla's open for coaching. I'm open for coaching. And we can both help you with your fitness goals. So thanks you guys for watching. Let me see. Have to watch the replay too. Yes, Paula, please do. It was really good. It might be a little bit eye-opening. We'll be rewatching. Yes, take notes. Yeah. All right. Have a good day, y'all. I'll see you soon.